best.
Hey guys, it's Lavender here. Welcome back to my channel. It's Lavender here, and today I want to talk about the serial killer Robert Christian Hansen. So I'm going to give a little background and get into the story. So here we go. So Robert Christian Hansen, aka Robert Hansen, was born on February 15, 1939, and he died August 21st, 2014. He was known in the media as the Butcher Baker. He was an American serial killer. Between 1971 and 1983, Hansen abducted, raped, and murdered at least 17 women in and around Anchorage, Alaska. He was arrested and convicted in 1983. Documentaries he was featured in, as in being a serial killer, he was featured in the FBI Files episode Hunter's Game that aired in 1999 and came out in 1999. Ice Cold Killers episode Hunting Humans that came out in 2012 on Investigation Discovery are just a few of the documentaries, true crime documentaries that he's been in. And here's a little background, his history, why he ended up what he, doing, because I feel like your background, your childhood, I feel like that has a big part to do with how these people end up. So yeah, just a little background on him. Robert Hansen was born in Easterville, Iowa in 1939. He was the son of a Danish immigrant and followed in his father's footsteps as a baker. In his youth, he was a skinny and painfully shy, afflicted with a stutter and severe acne that left him permanently scarred in the face. Shunned and bullied by the attractive girls in school, he grew up hating them and having fantasies of revenge on women. Throughout his childhood and adolescence, Hansen was described as being quiet and a loner and keeping to himself. Hansen started to practice both hunting and archery and often found refuge in these pastimes of his. Later, he began a relationship with a younger woman. He married her in the summer of 1960. On December 7, 1960, he was arrested for burning down a Pocahontas County Board of Education school bus garage, for which he served 20 months of a 3-year prison sentence in a state penitentiary. During his incarceration, he was diagnosed with bipolar disorder and with periodic schizophrenic episodes. Over the next few years, he was jailed several times for theft. And in 1967, he moved to Anchorage, Alaska with his second wife, whom he married in 1963 and with whom he had 2 children with. In Anchorage, he had set several local hunting records. On June 13, 1983, 17-year-old Cindy Paulson escaped from Hansen while he was trying to load her into his airplane. She told the police that he had offered her $200 to perform sex acts, but that when she got into the car, he pulled a gun on her and drove her to his home. There, he held her captive and proceeded to torture and rape her for hours. Later, he took her to the airport that he was at, where his plane was at, where he told her that he intended to take her out to his cabin that was only accessible through plane. Paulson, in the back seat of the car with the wrists cuffed in front of her body, saw a chance to escape when Hansen was busy loading the airplane's cockpit. While Hansen's back was turned, she crawled out of the back seat, opened the driver's area, and escaped. Hansen panicked and tried to chase her, but Paulson made it to 6th Avenue first and managed to flag down a passing vehicle. The driver, Robert Ute, alarmed by Paulson's disheveled appearance, stopped and picked her up. He drove her to the Mush Inn, where she jumped out of the truck and ran inside, and the police were called. She was taken to Anchorage Police Department headquarters, where she described the perpetrator, Hansen. When questioned by the officers, he denied the accusation. Although Hansen had several prior run-ins with the law, his meek demeanor and humble occupation as a baker, along with his strong alibi from his friend kept him from being considered a serious suspect, and the case went cold. Now, this part is BS because, like, this is the same thing with Ted Bundy. People thought Ted Bundy was so awesome and stuff. He could never do something like that. I mean, look at Ted Bundy. Like, if people can do that, that doesn't make you a good person just because you have an occupation. No. Part of the team investigation the discovery of several bodies that were found in and around Anchorage, Stewart, and Manitoba-Stevia Valley area. The first of the bodies were found by construction workers who were working near a road. Later that year, the body of Sheena Mesa was discovered in a gravel pit near Stewart, and in 1982, the remains of a 23-year-old Sherry Merrow were discovered in a shallow grave near the Kinnick River. A criminal psychological profile was made, and it was thought that the killer would be an experienced hunter with low self-esteem and having a history of being rejected by women, and would feel compelled to get revenge and keep souvenirs of his murder victims, such as the victim's jewelry. And it was also suggested that the assailant might have a stutter. Using this profile, they investigated possible suspects, and it all led back to Robert Hansen, who fit the profile and even owned a plane. So the police department secured a warrant to search Hansen's plane, vehicles, and home, and investigators uncovered jewelry belonging to some of the victims, along with a map with X's to where many of the bodies were found. When confronted with the evidence, he eventually confessed and admitted to a spree of attacks against Alaskan women starting in 1971. Hansen is known to have raped and assaulted over 30 Alaskan women and to have murdered at least 17, ranging from 16 to 41. Of these 17 women, Hansen was only formally charged with the murders of 4 women. Hansen was charged with assault, kidnapping, and he was sentenced by the jury and the judge to 461 years plus life in prison without the possibility of parole. Robert Hansen died on August 21, 2014, age 75, at Alaska Regional Hospital in Anchorage due to natural causes and lingering health conditions and concerns. So if you guys like this video, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Bye guys, see you next